think about what was my identity growing up, we were immigrants. Yeah, we were poor. Yeah, we were Dominican. But man, one doesn't leave country, one doesn't leave nation, one doesn't leave home, one doesn't leave language so that people could be lazy. And the obsession with work was absolutely central. The idea that any kid would be lounging around the house on a Saturday was anathema. That was like every sin in the world combined. When I started to float the concept that I might want to be an artist, my family, had I said I wanted to be a cannibal, they probably would have received that better. My father was one of those super mujeriegos who had tons of women on the street. All his money was always going to that. He was just a very, very difficult character, very violent, very militaristic. I grew up in the kind of family where you didn't look your father in the eye. You'd get slapped up if you looked your father in the eye. I never called my father papi or padre or papa. He was always señor. It was a very, very formal, very disciplinary and authoritative background. You know, my sisters were under like this colossal level of supervision. Who were you with? Where were you going? Their exits out of the house were almost timed. And we boys were allowed to go out and, you know, roll up in the house with girls. And I think what was painful about this is I think that, we all bought into these roles. And I think that in a family, when you have that kind of just blatant inequality, there's no way that cannot affect your relationships as siblings. One understands that the chief beneficiary of masculinity and patriarchal regimes are boys. But that doesn't stop men/boys from being victimized by the very privilege they practice. The way I grew up, vulnerability was considered not part of the formula of growing up a man. And when you tell boys as part of their received script that vulnerability is off the table, what you're also indicating to them in the long term is love is off the table. Because to fall in love, to find intimacy, one must first make themselves vulnerable, which of course goes against all the laws and all the precepts and everything that you've been told in your scripts. Who doesn't want intimacy? Who doesn't want to connect with a partner profoundly? What was passed down to me, what was transmitted from my parents to us, was silence. The sense that there were secrets and the sense that there were entire areas that we did not talk about. The sense that like the keeping of secrets and the holding of your tongue is what is expected of you. There's a lot of violence in this family. There's a lot of abuse. Never tell anyone. There's an uncle of yours who got involved in politics. Never ask questions about that. We grew up super poor. Don't tell anyone. Maybe one of your siblings or one of your cousins doesn't look anything like their parents. Don't talk about that. Don't bring that up. Don't mention that. I spoke silence better than I spoke English or Spanish. And I think that was part of the reason, perhaps, that I wanted so passionately to become an artist. And the kind of artist that I became was an artist where the bearing of witness, the breaking of silences, the having the conversations about who we are, the awkward, difficult, challenging conversations are the things that I wanted to do and the things that I try to do in my art. I could sort of blame my folks for a million things, but at the same time, I got a million things I could blame myself for. When one's a kid, it's easy to point the finger. When one gets 45, 46, the way I am, one begins to understand we're human beings, man. We're profoundly imperfect. The bottom line is this: the only way that you can have real open conversations between the generations is through understanding each other in a compassionate way. And then I think of my mother raising 5 kids poor in the 80s, in the middle of all the crack wars and all the locuras that were happening on the street, not understanding a word of English, not having a car, not having access to any kind of education. I'll be honest, if somebody put me in the hot tub time machine and sent me back and made me have to do what my mom was doing, I would have broken in 3 days. If it was a competition between my generation and their generation, I sometimes think we would be voted off the island in 2 seconds, man.